Hello and welcome to Dugout Daily. I'm Charlie and I'm joined by Chris from Leicester Till I Die TV. How are you, mate?
I said before, probably not as happy as you are, but such is life. I'm still alive. That's the main thing.
Yeah. We'll get straight into it then. We won 1-0. Bernardo Silva got the goal. Thoughts on Leicester's performance?
Do you know what? I think yesterday's game, it was more about the performance than it was the result, because you look at certain games during the season as a sort of a club Leicester size and below, and you think, right, yeah, that should be a win, that should be a win, that should be a draw. Well, we might lose that one. And I think this was a bit of a given, one of those that we thought we'd lose because it's Man City, and yeah, we get the odd win against you like last season, but generally speaking, we know it's going to be a tough game. So it was about the performance, and we'd got up until that game, we'd lost to West Ham, and that was an awful performance. But even the wins against Norwich and the wins against Wolves, the performance wasn't brilliant. But what we got yesterday was a performance, and yeah, okay, at times, we were defending. You were throwing the kitchen sink at us, but hey, Jose did it for years, so sometimes you just got to get behind the ball and stop it going in. But we looked dangerous on the break when we had a go at you, and there's the argument about the VAR decision: was it or wasn't it offside? You'll obviously say it was. I'll say it wasn't. It was one of those. So if that had been counted, it could have been different. I think we did enough for a draw overall. And you can say, yeah, you had sort of 27 shots to our 14 or whatever, but it was only one goal, and you didn't do to us what you did to like Arsenal. So we've got thankful for these small mercies.
Yeah, well, they scraped their relegation 6-pointer yesterday against Norwich. So
I know that I didn't add that down as a boring goalless draw.
We'll get into the player ratings then. Just talk about their performance and then what you'd give them out of 10. Big up Talk. Hope you're well, mate, in the chat as well. We'll start with Leicester's keeper then, Kasper Schmeichel. How do you think he played?
Well, there's three or four that, because on my website, which is leicestertodie.com, I do man of the match, and one of our followers picks the man of the match, and there's three or four that could have got it yesterday, and I think Schmeichel was in that bracket. He was. I mean, he stopped it being the 5-0 like against Arsenal. So I've got to give him probably. I mean, I can't go too high because we lost at the end of the day, but for me, he gets an 8.
Yeah. Onto the right back then, Timothy Castagne. How do you think he played?
He's not played for a while. It was his first game back. So you've got to not expect too much of him. But Pierre, who was playing well in that position, was a little bit injured. So did nothing wrong. Had a really, really good game. I'd probably give him 7.
Yeah. On to the two centre backs then, starting with Caglar Soyuncu. How do you think he played?
You know what? I can't believe I was surprised. I would have dropped him, to be honest with you, because he's been having howlers. He got an assist against West Ham, but it was for West Ham. He got a penalty, gave away the penalty against Norwich. Midweek, he gave 2 yellow cards and a penalty away and got sent off again, for Turkey. I mean, his confidence must have been at rock bottom. And sometimes for a player, it's good to just take them out the limelight for a little bit. I mean, Ancelotti, I think it was, that did it with Pickford for a while. Brendan, and this shows why, I'm not a football manager and just a fan, he actually brought him into defence and played him on the right rather than on the left where he normally plays. And Craig, a fellow host on my show, said it was very, very clever because it meant that Soyuncu because it wasn't his normal position and his normal foot, he had to kind of just do the basics and not try the Brazilian sort of turns and what have you.
Cruyff turns on the edge of the box.
That's it, which fills our pants, to be honest with you. And now the guy that picks our man of the match actually gave Soyuncu the man of the match thing. So then that kind of says it all. And yeah, he would get a 7 as well.
Yeah. Onto his partner, Jannik Vestergaard, came from Southampton in the summer, got subbed off after an hour. How do you think he played?
You know what? Again, I mean, my defence is scoring very high here, and he hadn't played a full 90 minutes for us. He only came on in the previous game for the last 15, and then he got injured. He was a man mountain. You know, he's 6'6". He's the height and the presence that we need, the experience we need. He was putting his body on the line, stopping you guys. And again, I think he was the other reason probably why we didn't concede as many. Surprised he went off after 60. A lot of players were questioning it. But I think when you look at a substitute that made on the 60th minute, that's normally the tactical substitutions. They usually happen around then. I think it was a predetermined agreement that he would come off after 60 because it was his first full game. So I'm giving Vestergaard 8 along with Casper.
Yeah, big up Static and Rich, both in the chat as well.
Evening, gentlemen.
To the left back then, was talking about him backstage before the stream started. Ryan Bertrand, how do you think he played?
You know, I like Bertrand. He was my pre-season player of the pre-season, if you like. And probably didn't say that right, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's come in. Luke Thomas is probably going to be our left back for the, you know, if we don't sell him for the years ahead. But he's got that maturity. He's got that experience. He's great when it comes to free kicks and corners because he can do what Maddison can't do, and that's get the ball past the first man. Yeah, let's not go there. Bertrand again, he'll get a 7 from me.
Yeah. Onto the midfield then. First of all, Youri Tielemans. How do you think he played?
Did what he was expected to do. If you don't sort of notice a player as much, then usually that means they're having a good game because they're doing what they should be doing. They shouldn't, you know, they're not making mistakes. And for me, that was one of those games yesterday. He didn't particularly do anything majorly wrong, but he necessarily wasn't, you know, didn't do anything majorly right. You know, he didn't score another goal like in the cup final. But I would give him probably a 6.
Yeah. And I remember him giving the ball away on the edge of the box, going to Bernardo Silva, resulting in a good save by Schmeichel in the first half.
You can, but you can't necessarily mark. I don't think you can mark a player down for the odd mistake. You've got to look at the overall picture. And, you know, it's like, you know, people are going on about Casper. Casper cannot kick the ball out. I think that's one of the reasons that Brendan, he likes playing from the back, but then he knows that Casper's not going to kick it into row Z, which he gets, again, as a habit of doing. It always has done. It's been his thing. And people are moaning, oh, Casper cost us again. And he was, you know, you've got to look at, do they bring more with what they do right than they take away with what they do wrong? And like I say, Tielemans, yesterday, I think he did more right than wrong. And certainly Casper did as well. But yeah, he gets a 6 from me for yesterday's performance.
Yeah. His partner in midfield then, Wilfred Ndidi. How do you think he played?
Yeah, all I'm, you know, we're giving 6s and what have you to these players because these are all players that have been linked with other clubs. So we've got a little plan going here that if they don't have outstanding games until about February, then we've got them for the whole season. Now, Ndidi, again, did what was asked of him as he always does. Solid game, not outstanding. It was hard for the midfield against, you know, you guys because I say, you know, I mean, in that first half, it was like, it was like Custer's last stand, and the Indians who were just coming at us and coming at us. But again, I would give him a 6.
Yeah. On the right then was Marc Albrighton. How do you think he played?
Not one of his better games. And I think I'm surprised he stayed on, to be honest with you. I think I'll probably have to go with a 5. I mean, with Marc, he gives what he can. He gives 110% every time, but yeah, it just wasn't working for him yesterday, and that was probably down to sort of Man City not allowing him to.
Yeah. You mentioned him before not being able to beat the first man from a corner. James Maddison, how do you think he played?
I was waiting for this one. Nobody's actually come up and said he had anything like even an average game yesterday. There's something mentally that's blocking James Maddison since he had the injury, and we had the at the end of last season, and there was obviously the party and the match he missed. But since he's come back, he's never quite hit those heights. You remember, the first game between us last season, which I believe we beat you 5-2. You may remember, did I mention that at all? But you may remember James Maddison's goal. I mean, it was like just out of nowhere.
Wonder goal.
Yeah. And that's kind of what you hope he gives. And you can't do it every game, but everybody's calling for him to be dropped. And I get where they are coming from. I really do. And maybe it would do him some good to just be taken out of the firing line for a bit. I know we've got the new signings and give them a signing. You can't bring new signings in unless you're a Lukaku or a Ronaldo or a Grealish that you paid 100 million for, and you can't just drop somebody to put them in. But once a player isn't performing week in, week out, then you've got to give him a rest. And unfortunately for that, I've given him we'll have to give him a 4, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Big up Jordan in the chat.
Hi, Jordan.
On the left, Harvey Barnes. How do you think he played?
Again, it's not quite happening for him at the moment. He was taken off. Surprised he came off more than Albrighton because he can run at the defences. A 5. It just was a okay game, and yeah, just a 5. I think a 5. Unfortunately, he just needs to get his form back as well. It looked like he was doing. It really looked like he was doing, but no, it didn't happen for him yesterday.
Yeah, he had the injury last season as well, which
He
did.
But we've got to remember as well, we were playing the champions of England yesterday. So, we weren't playing, and no disrespect to the Norwich or Watford or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it is going to be more difficult for us in some ways. In other ways, you let us play a little bit more. But yeah, we've got to remember, you are the champions of England and therefore the best team in the country at the moment. And my God, that's stuck in my throat to say that. Even though you couldn't win the English Super Cup, of course.
What would it have been if you didn't win that game? Would it still have been called the English Super Cup?
No, it would have been a pre-season friendly. Of course it would. It would. That's what you call it.
Yeah, it's a pre-season friendly, seeing as though we lost it this season.
Exactly. Oh, dear.
Rich says, a question for you. How do you think Leicester will get on against Brighton on Sunday after playing Napoli on Thursday?
We were discussing this in our post-match show last night, and I'm expecting some changes because you got Samara, you got Daka, because if we play Vardy, for example, up front against Napoli, is he still going to be able to play a full 90 minutes again or whatever against Brighton on Sunday? No, he's not. and this is why we bought these players. So I think we're going to start seeing players mixed about. Brighton, in fairness, showing I know nothing about football, because I predicted that they'd be sort of bottom three or just outside the bottom three. And at the moment, they are still up there. We've got, for us, this is a make or break season in a way, because we've been screaming for ages saying we haven't got the size squad that we want. We haven't got the squad depth. We've gone out, we've bought players in. We've only let youngsters and Dennis Pratt go. So we've kept hold of the players that we were being linked with being moved away. So do you know what? We've got to do it this year. He's got to use the squad. He's got to mix it up a little bit. And there's no excuses this year. But against Brighton, we should still win it if we want to be fourth or fifth. Which everybody says we're going to be fourth, fifth, sixth, and I think we will be. Those are the games we have to win. Might not be a pretty performance, but we've got the squad depth now. Let's use it. Let's give players breaks and freshness and use the squad. So we've got to get a win, I think, against Brighton.
Yeah. On to Jamie Vardy then. How do you think he played yesterday?
He's getting back to his old self. And old, no pun intended. He got the goal, which VAR disallowed. Apart from that, I think he caused you guys a few problems when he got playing. Probably sort of 6.5, 7.
Yeah. On to the substitutes then. First on was Jonny Evans. How do you think he played?
It's always difficult with substitutes because they obviously haven't got the full game. Having said that, he came on at 60 minutes. It was unfortunate because as soon as he came on, just after then we conceded the goal. Which again came off Soyuncu, bless him. He's having a good time. But it was a deflection. You can't, moan about a deflection. That's just one of those things. Soyuncu. Evans, nice to see him back. Nice to see him fit. He got 30 minutes in, which was the main thing. I'd probably give him a 6.
Yeah. Next up then, was it his debut, Ademola Lookman?
It was. Again, he had a couple of shots that your goalkeeper saved. Your goalkeeper who shouldn't have been playing, obviously, if FIFA stuck to the rules. But no, I'm not bitter at all. But I think had it been Crystal Palace, I don't think those players would have been playing. But as Ray asked me the other day, if they were Leicester players, would I want them to play? Of course I bloody would. So it's one of those things. As a Leicester fan, I wish they'd been banned. Who knows if Scott Carson had been in goal, it could have been a different game. But I think he looked lively. And I think, like I say, he made Edison make a couple of good saves, after he came on. I won't let him anywhere near the penalty spot. I'm not going to lie, but such is life. But yeah, I'd give Lookman a 7. I think he looked really, really lively, and I think if he can perform, I'm a bit wary because I remember saying this about Cengiz Under when we first got him on loan last season, and he kind of peaked in game number 2 for us, and it was like nothing after that. But yeah, I liked his performance. I think what it is, him and Barnes, if those are going to be the two wingers, wide guys, they can both interchange and play on both sides. And I think, if you've got players that can do that, defenders hate it because they just don't know who they're coming up against.
Yeah. And the final one, the former City man, Kelechi Iheanacho. How do you think he played?
Again, I think he played well when he came on. People are saying he probably did more in was it the 15 odd minutes that he was on than Maddison had done in the previous 65. I feel sorry for Iheanacho because at the end of last season, he kept us in the run in for the top four. He got us to Wembley. He was playing really well, and because we've got to put fit Barnes in there, I think that is why we've had to drop him. But Barnes isn't playing well. Maddison isn't playing well, and those are the two that are out when we included Iheanacho. I'd give him a 7 because again, I think he did well when he came on. He caused you a couple of problems again, and I just wish he'd start more, to be honest with you. But that's the problem, as you at Man City know. When you've got all these so-called good players, it is accommodating them all.
Yeah. A comment here from James about Lookman was at Everton, of course. James is an Everton fan. He says Lookman just needs a run of games, and the football Leicester play might suit him better. Do you agree with that?
Yes, in a way. I didn't know of him at Everton. I know he was at Fulham last season. I had Emilio, who was a Fulham fan on. He did a special with me on Lookman, and he's obviously they remember that penalty, but they said up until his injury, sort of December time, he was probably up for their player of the season. Now that kind of says it all, and because a player, you've got to buy a player. I think when you go out and buy a player, you do it because they will fit into the system that you play as a manager. There's no point us going out, say, and buying Coutinho, who we were linked with, or someone, because he wouldn't necessarily fit into our system. So you just sort of buy and play. We spent 30 million on Slimani, but he didn't fit into the system we were playing at the time, and we never played towards to fit him in. And then the poor guy obviously struggled. And I think Lookman, it's like Demarai Gray. He's gone to Everton this season, and he's playing really, really well. He didn't do that for us at all. But sometimes it's a different manager. Benitez might. I think he'll probably get Demarai Gray purring away where our managers couldn't. And good luck to the guy. I wish he'd done well for us. But, good luck at Everton. And I think Lookman's the same. I think, he's still only early 20s. I think, if he gets the game time, and that's the big question, because say Cengiz Under did. But I tell you what it is with Brendan Rodgers, and he says this a lot, and this is possibly why Perez gets so many starts when everybody is a little bit. It's their attitude on the training ground, and if you give 110% on the training ground for Brendan Rodgers, you are going to be in with a chance of being in the match day squad. Demarai Gray never gave that sort of attitude when he was on the training bench. Again, that may just have been him and Brendan and him and the Leicester managers. And I say, I think Rafa would be different for him and probably get a tune out of him. And I say, I do hope he does, because I liked him as a player. But I'm really, having spoken to, James there just mentioned it, and Emilio, the Fulham fan, I'm really looking forward to what Lookman can do for us, because we've got Marc Albrighton on that side. Perez can't play on the wing, and poor Lookman. There's no totally the pressure of the whole of Leicester is on his shoulders, but hopefully he'll be the one for us, be the missing link.
Yeah. We'll move on to the City players then, starting with Ederson. I'd give him a 7. He made a couple good saves. I remember him making a save towards the end against Lookman, actually.
I thought you might have given him 8, to be honest with you, because I thought he had a really good. Maybe actually, we're seeing it through different coloured blue glasses, but I thought, like I said, I've just said before, had he not been able to play, it might have been a different game. I thought he did really well for you.
Yeah, it's not with Ederson as well. It's not just his goalkeeping abilities; it's his distribution, how he links up with the defence and the midfield and the attack. I don't think Scott Carson could do it as well as Ederson does. And Stefan, who's normally our second choice keeper, has COVID, so he wouldn't have been able to play.
I wonder if Scott Carson was cleaning his boots in anticipation. Finally, I'm getting a game. Finally. Oh, damn. bloody FIFA.
Yeah, it's between that 7 and 8. I'd probably go around a 7 or a 7.5, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Right back, Kyle Walker didn't put a foot wrong, to be honest. I don't remember Harvey Barnes doing much against him, really.
Not surprised Kyle Walker, but he took him out I don't know how many times.
I'd go a 7 again there for Walker. Ruben Diaz, he's just class. As a defender, he's just world class. He didn't put a foot wrong. A Rolls Royce of a defender, I'd give him an 8. Next to him was Emerick Laporte, same as Diaz. Didn't put a foot wrong. Played well again. I'd give him a 7.5, between a 7.5 and an 8 for me. João Cancelo at left back. I don't remember him doing a lot, to be fair. Marc Albrighton didn't do a lot, like you said before, Chris. So I'd probably go a 7 again for Cancelo at left back.
I'm sorry.
In the midfield, Gundogan, he played well again. I think I'd give him a 7. Rodri didn't do much. He didn't have to do much, to be fair, in defensive midfield. I'd probably give him a 6.5 because he didn't exactly put a foot wrong. Bernardo Silva got the goal. As you said, it was, if it's offside or onside, you look at that as different fans. You think,
I don't think yours was offside. I was referring to sort of Jamie Vardy's, but
yeah.
Funny thing is with Silva, of course, is had you got Kane, it might have been Silva that had gone out the door.
Yeah. And I'd give Bernardo a 9 out of 10 yesterday. He was all over the pitch, pressing from the front, good finish as well. Don't remember him making a bad mistake. Had a couple of good opportunities on goal. I'd give Bernardo a 9. Jesus didn't do much, to be fair. Not as good as when he played Norwich and Arsenal, but that's not exactly hard. They're both fighting to stay in the Premier League. But
yeah,
I'd give Jesus a 6.5. He didn't do much, but he could have done more, but he didn't do anything wrong, should I say. Up front, Ferran Torres was anonymous. I don't remember him doing anything. I'd just give him an average 6. Jack Grealish, he played well again. I don't think you like Jack Grealish by that reaction, Chris.
I was taking a deep intake of breath because there's been a few comments about Manchester City fans not understanding why we boo Jack Grealish. You got to remember that he played for what is really our only rival in the Premier League,
Villa,
Aston Villa, and he's one of those players, a bit like Harry Kane. When he plays for England, it's get Grealish on. We want Grealish. Oh my God, that was a foul on Grealish. When he's playing in the Premier League, he goes down easier than sort of a prostitute Snickers on double time. He's always on the floor, and love him as a player when he's playing for England, but no, I just don't like, and it's because he's so good. And the thing is, the guy's a £1 billion player, so most fans, I think, are going to boo him when he gets on the ball.
Yeah, I'd give Grealish a 7.5 yesterday. He had a good chance near the end. I think it was good goalkeeping by Schmeichel to close down the angle well. I don't remember him doing that much, really. He had a few good opportunities, linked up well with Cancelo and Bernardo again. So I'd give him a 7.5.
I think as well with Jack Grealish, I think you just got to give him a little bit of time because you paid £1 billion for him, people think he's going to be Ronaldo, Messi and Coutinho all rolled into one, and it's a lot of pressure on the guy. And I think the longer you go into the season, the more, once he gets a bit more comfortable and maybe gets a couple of goals, I think he'll settle more, and I think you will see more from him as the season goes on.
Onto the substitutes then. First one is Fernandinho. He showed it up at the back when he came on. We were 1-0 up with about 10-15 minutes to go. And he showed it up at the back, was playing well, was pressing at the front, had a good opportunity last 5-10 minutes as well, which he put wide. So I'd give Fernandinho a 7. And Sterling, he came on in the 64th minute.
Not a bad sub to bring on, is he really?
It didn't exactly do much though yesterday, to be honest. No. I'd just give him an average 6. That's it with the player ratings. We'll ask you, Chris, as an opposition fan, how do you think City played yesterday?
If the game had been a draw, and maybe Man City fans would argue with this, but because you did have the majority of depression, what am I saying? The majority of possession during the game, not depression, or that was just us Leicester fans after the game. 25 goal attempts to our 6. Yeah, but had it been a draw, I think neither team could have complained. I think we didn't get hammered the 5-0. I think you. I don't think you ever really. You do have a lot of possession, but I mean, when Leicester won the Premier League, we won it with one of the least highest percentage of possession in the whole Premier League. So it's what you do with it, and yet you have 25%. 25 goal attempts, but you only got 1 goal out of all of that.
Yeah.
I think we do make it hard for you. I think we like to play Man City because you give us the space, you give Vardy the space, you play a high line. So I'd probably, from rating the teams, I'd probably give you guys, simply because you were peppering us, probably sort of an 8 and to a 7 to us.
Yeah. The same about Leicester. I think there was a few standout players. I think Schmeichel kept you in the game from it being 3 or 4. I think Ndidi played well. I think that's an average performance for Ndidi, but I think he played well again. Vestergaard, I was always worried when Leicester got a corner or a free kick because there was someone like Grealish marking Vestergaard each time. It was worrying. Yeah. Vardy didn't do much against us, to be honest. I expected Vardy to do more. Same with Harvey Barnes and Maddison, to be honest. So, yeah, I think a few players for Leicester did well to keep it down to only 1. Schmeichel, really. And yeah,
I think if you look, Charlie, the fact that our highest scoring players were the goalkeeper and defenders probably says a lot about Man City's game.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think Leicester will get that 5th position again this season. I just don't think they're good enough to break into the top 4 behind in front of Liverpool or City or United or Chelsea.
If anybody's going to drop out, it's going to be Liverpool, I think. Because you guys, you've Man City. You've got probably the best manager probably in the world. You've paid £1 billion for a player to add to what was already probably one of the best squads in the world. Chelsea have bought Lukaku. Man United. If Man United don't win something this season, I think Ollie will be a laughing stock, because with the squad he's got, his minimum target should be at least, the Carabao Cup. Although obviously I know you guys like that one. So it would probably be Liverpool. My worry is for Leicester. You're probably a bit too young to remember, but Everton years ago. I don't know if James is still watching or not, but I could be wrong, but I seem to remember when Moyes was at Everton, they seemed to do well for a few seasons, and then have a season when they maybe finish bottom half. Then they'd have another couple of seasons where they do, and I'm just worried that might be going to happen to us. We've got apart from Man City, our first 7 or 8 games, we've got Brighton and Burnley coming up in the league, and Palace. And I know Palace beat Tottenham, but that's Tottenham, isn't it? So that's probably one of the easiest starts we've ever had. And if we're not, okay, we lost to West Ham. That was a bit annoying, but we lost to you guys. So it's a bit of a given. If we're not doing well out of those 8 games, then I might be a little bit worried about where we might finish. Not as in going down or anything like that, but we might be out the Europeans. Then we just have to go on to win the European Cup and get into the Champions League that way.
We'll ask you about how do you think the referee did yesterday?
Do you know what with the referee? A lot of Leicester fans were saying, he was your 12th man, and he was wearing sort of light blue. I think sometimes it's very easy for fans to blame the ref if you have a bad game. He can only call what he sees, and then if 5 was even in the bottom one, but you've got VAR if he gets it wrong. But if VAR doesn't say anything to him, he was all right. He wasn't, spectacular. I don't think he was that in favour of yourself. I think you got quite a few yellow cards. Well, you got 2, which was more than us. Maybe you could have had a few more because the tackles were going in a little bit. But I can't really criticise him that much.
Yeah, similar to me, to be honest. He didn't do anything wrong, really, that I remember. So, just
apart from possibly Vardy's goal, but there we go.
Yeah, that ain't really his decision, though. It goes to the VAR at the end of the day.
Exactly, yeah.
And the final one, I know you weren't at the game yesterday, but the fans were brilliant. Both sets of fans. The away end was singing all 90 minutes. I know Leicester have a group of people with a drum involved with a good so that brought a bit of atmosphere. And I remember at Wembley in the English Super Cup, as you call it, Leicester mostly outsung City that day. So
I think with the fans, and I wasn't there. I just think generally, if I was there, I'd be singing for 90 minutes because I'd just be glad to be back.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if you're gonna go and be miserable, no matter even if you're an Arsenal fan, for them 90 minutes, you're back at a match, and just enjoy it. Enjoy being there because if this last couple of seasons have told us anything, it's like we just can't take anything for granted.
Yeah.
We used to think probably, it's Saturday or it's the weekend. Who have we got this weekend? Yeah, we'll go and see them and see if we can get an away ticket. And for, a season and a half, we couldn't do that. So go to the grounds, enjoy it, win, lose or draw. Just enjoy the atmosphere, see your mates again. And obviously it's better if you win. Of course it is. But, at the end of the day, even if you lose, a lot of worse things have happened over the last 18 months. Losing a game of football, is not the end of the world, really.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, like I say, I was relieved. I covered myself because on the prediction show that I do, and we'll have to have you on that one week.
Yeah, definitely.
On the prediction show, I actually went for Man City win, so I got a point for that. But on our prediction league on longball.net, I actually did go for a Leicester win. I couldn't desert Leicester totally. I was dreading what the outcome might be because I know it was it was an English Super Cup. It was a huge trophy that we won, but that doesn't really have an effect on how you're going to play in the season. So I don't think we could take anything from that. And the 5-2 was last season as well. And there's you'd only just started playing. I was glad that we weren't humiliated like you did with Arsenal, and I was relieved that we put a performance that is probably, although we lost it, I think it was the best performance we've actually put in this season.
Yeah, I was reading something before the game, actually, in all of Leicester's Premier League games against West Ham, Norwich. I'm not sure who else you've had. You had us,
Wolves.
obviously, and Wolves.
Wolves, yeah.
Apparently, you've not played brilliantly in any of those games.
No. We haven't. West Ham deserved to beat us. And that was really annoying. West Ham really annoyed me because they'd done that to us 2 games last season. And we should have learned from that. So that was annoying. Had Wolves got their shooting boots on, they could have got a point, or if not more from us, as they could have done against Man United. They were hit by the sucker punch. But if you're not scoring, that's what happens. Norwich, the VAR worked for us in that instance. They had a goal cancelled out, otherwise it would have been 2-2. So no, we haven't played well. This is the best we've played all season. Unfortunately, we need to do that week in, week out.
Yeah.
And that's how you get to be champions, and that's how you get to be in the top 4 all the time.
Yeah. Next up for both teams, the European games, we got Leipzig in the Champions League. You got Napoli in the Europa League. Are you confident for that game?
No, not at all. I mean, we are not. Napoli are a strong team. We were talking before the game. We've got to be careful that we don't build these teams up to be too much. It's like saying, "Oh, we're playing Leicester. They won the Premier League a few years ago." Well, it's a completely different team.
Yeah.
We've got to remember, if Napoli was as good as they used to be, they'd be in the Champions League. And they're not. They're like us. They just missed out at the end. But they are our, we haven't got an easy group this time. We've had a couple of easy groups in Europe the last couple of times we've been in. This is probably the hardest group. Napoli, they were seeded 1. They are favourites to go through. Give me a point now, and I'll take it. We're at home, so we should be looking to get at least a point from it. But it's Leicester. If the Leicester that turned up against you guys yesterday, we were in with a good chance. If the Leicester that turned up against Norwich or West Ham, then we could be in trouble.
Yeah, you had a disappointing Europa League campaign last season as well, getting knocked out by Slavia Prague, which...
Yeah, disappointing. It's... I mean, it's what you call disappointing, really, isn't it? Because, Arsenal went through, when they were in the Champions League, they seemed to get to a certain point, and I think it was before the quarterfinals, it might have been the round of 6, and that was, they always went out. That was as far as they got, and they always went out. Brendan's got that, because Brendan's never got further than he got with Leicester, whoever he's been with, Liverpool, Celtic, whatever. And that's what he needs to break this season. Yet again, we didn't go down fighting. We went down with a whimper against Slavia Prague, and that was the disappointing thing. If a team, if you lose and you play like yesterday, we lost and we played really well. So well done to you guys. We gave it our best shot.
Yeah.
If we lose like we did against West Ham, you've got to say, what the bloody hell is going on? And that was the thing with Slavia Prague. You know what? And I don't agree with teams that come. I mean, if we finish 3rd, we drop into the European Conference.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. We failed. Man United last season, and no disrespect to Man United fans if they're watching, but Man United last season nearly won the Europa League. Why should they have been in the Europa League final? Because they were shit in the Champions League. They didn't qualify out of the group in the Champions League. So what? I mean, we know it's money. It's money. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
If it was fair, they wouldn't. You're out. I think you should just be out and you're out. You don't go into another competition. So we don't know who's coming down. Sorry.
Yeah, they basically got to a final for failing. Simple as that.
Totally. But we don't know who's going to come down from the Champions League. But if it is favourable to us, I could see us going quite a way this season.
Yeah. And just final question, how do you think Leicester will do overall the remainder of this season?
I've just seen James there. We'll finish 5th again. I've been saying 5th all, when everybody started doing predictions before the season started. That said, I've got to see improved performances for us to do that. You could argue that, well, we play rubbish and we still got 2 wins when we were playing rubbish, but is it 5th or 6th to us won't be a failure in my eyes because we're Leicester. 5th or 6th would be a failure for yourselves, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United. But for Leicester, if we finish 5th 3 seasons in a row, to us it's brilliant. So I take 5th or 6th.
Talk says here, but Charlie, 3rd to 4th in the Premier League is a failure, but they still get Champions League football. Similar to that, to be fair, with getting 3rd. I've said already, I think it should only be the champions of each country in the Champions League. But we know UEFA's all about money.
Yeah, that is another argument. And, people have said that right from the get-go with the Champions League. Talk's quite right there. Good evening, Talk. It should be the champions. If you are the champions of Scotland, and I'm not a fan of Scottish football, as anybody that follows me knows, or you finish top in the Northern Irish League or the Finland League, or why should they have to go through qualifiers to get into the Champions League? They are champions. Not, at the end of the day, the leagues are only as good as the leagues can be. And at the moment, Premier League is riding high. It should be the champions, and then the next set should be the European, the Europa League as is now, And I've just seen what James has put. You should then have a Cup Winners' Cup, which we used to have.
Yeah.
So, not the Champions League, the Europa League and the Conference League. It should be champions, like you said. I agree 100%. Champions for champions, Europa League for maybe 2nd to 4th or sort of whatever, and then the Cup winners go into the Cup.
Yeah. James says, my dad says to me, whoever wins the FA Cup should qualify for the Champions League rather than 2nd, 3rd or 4th. Yeah, you shouldn't really be called champions.
No.
Be in a competition called the Champions League if you finish in 4th.
No. And I don't think the winners of the FA Cup should either. And we won the FA Cup, but we shouldn't be in the Champions League because to win the FA Cup, we played, was it 5-6 games, something like that, to win the FA Cup without replays? You ran 3, 4, 5 or 6 games. I can't. My mind's gone.
Yeah, about 6 games.
Yeah, to win the Premier League, you've got to win 30, or you've got to be best over 38 games. You can't compare the two. You could have a lucky draw and win the FA Cup. You could get to the final without playing a Premier League team. So no, you shouldn't be in the Champions League for that. I'm sorry, I would disagree with James's dad there, but you should be. I think they should have a separate cup, the cup like they used to years ago, the Cup Winners' Cup.
Yeah. Big up Talk. He says great stream, by the way. Big up to you, Talk, and big up Anthony as well.
I got 3 points, Anthony. You're not pointless anymore.
Apparently, chants were going around the Emirates saying we are staying up, but we're not talking about Arsenal here. We're talking about 2 teams that are playing in Europe this season.
Yes, yeah. All I would say is you got to admire these Arsenal fans. They're optimistic, if nothing else.
Yeah. James says, I've been saying for ages, bring back the Cup Winners' Cup. Yeah. It was a while since it just got rid of it, and when they got rid of the Cup Winners' Cup, it's been a long time.
It has. We won the League Cup twice in the 90s, late 90s. 1999 was the last one, and we went into the equivalent of the Europa League now. And no, you should have a separate one for the cup. But like you say, that wouldn't make money because you might get a Wigan in there or some. And it's wrong. It's wrong because football is about the small clubs doing well, as we know with all the ESL talk. But FIFA and UEFA and all they just want the money, don't they?
Yeah, it's all about money for UEFA, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We'll wrap it up there then. Just quickly before we wrap it up, where can we find you, mate?
As it says there, Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube, just gone over the 1,000. So any extra little subs you can give us would be grateful. We don't do all Leicester stuff. We do prediction shows and European shows and general football shows as well. So get on over there and check us out. Twitter at Leicester TID on Twitter. So it's at Leicester TID and Leicester Till I Die, the group on Facebook.
Yep. Cheers for coming on again, mate.
Thanks for having me on, Charlie. If I can do it anytime, you know that.
Yeah. You can find me at MCFC Hibs on Twitter, Dugout Daily on YouTube. Big up everyone that's been in the chat today. We'll go through Talk, Static, Rich, Jordan, James as well, Anthony. And yeah, big up to all of you that have been in the chat. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe if you are new. Take care, everyone, and see you later. Goodbye.